Session 17, Time Management Strategies.
At the beginning of the seminar, we talked about mental laws, and we talked about the law of control. We said that you feel positive about yourself to the degree to which you feel you are in control of your life, and you feel negative about yourself to the degree to which you feel you are not in control, or the degree to which you feel you are controlled by external events. Now, there's no place where this is more important as part of the discussion than in the subject of time management. Charles Hobbs, the time management specialist, has come up with a great definition of time management. He says, time management is the control of the sequence of events. That most of your stress in life comes from a feeling that you are out of control of the sequence of events. Now, all successful people practice good time management skills. All unsuccessful people do not. Period. That each one of us has 24 hours a day. You have 24 hours a day, and I have 24 hours a day. Yet the top 20% of every graduating class, the top 20% of every industry, the top 20% of every social grouping accomplish and achieve 80% of the rewards. Not because they have more talent, not because they have more skill, not because they have more ability or intelligence or education or opportunity or anything else. It's because they use their time better. We've talked throughout this course about keys to success. We said over and over again that one of the most important keys to success is self-discipline. Self-discipline. And we know that none of us have enough self-discipline. But self-discipline has a specific application. It means self-mastery. It means many things. It means keeping your mind on what you want and off of what you don't want. But it also means self-control. It means self-control in terms of time, in terms of controlling the sequence of events. If you cannot master your time, then the seeds of greatness are not in you. If you cannot master your time, then it's not likely that you'll ever accomplish what you are capable of accomplishing in life. In this session, I want to give you 7 keys to time management. Now, I do entire 1- and 2-day time management programs. I can speak for hours on time management without referring to a note. I have studied countless books. I've listened to all the tapes. I've been to the courses. I'm going to give you 7 keys. If you will follow these 7 keys until they become automatic, you can double your time efficiency in almost no time at all. So without further ado, let's go on. But remember, time management is essential. We all have the same time. The only question is, what do we do with the time? And in that and out of that comes the stuff of life. Starting point of time management, number 1, which I've been repeating over and over again, is clear, specific goals. Clear, specific goals. Do you know how many people waste their time because they do not have clear, specific goals? They don't know what they're doing. At least 80% of all time wastage or more is because people aren't sure of what they're supposed to be doing. They're not sure of what they want to do, and if they work for a company, they're not sure what the company wants them to do. As a matter of fact, the first thing I do when I go into a company is I say, what you have to do is you have to clearly define the expectations of each person in each position. And you know, in most cases, they are not sure how to do that. Clear, specific goals. If you work for a company, if you work for a boss, the first thing that you should do is go to your boss and ask your boss exactly what he expects you to do. What are the most important things that you have been hired to accomplish? Clear, specific goals defined in terms of outputs, in terms of results. What results do you want? In fact, when you set your goals, you should always ask yourself, what outcomes do you desire? Rather than goals, ask yourself, what outcomes? Now, what do I mean by outcomes? Well, here's a perfect example. A person says, I want to be successful in my job. What does that mean? Well, what it means, the outcome that they desire is they want interesting, challenging work that pays well. And sometimes we find ourselves working at a job where it's not interesting or challenging, and we can't understand why we can't get any satisfaction out of it. Or a person says, I want my relationship to work. However, what are they saying? What they're saying is, the outcome I desire is I want to be happy in my relationship. And it doesn't matter who you're happy with. If the outcome is clear that you want to be happy in a relationship, that's very different from insisting upon being happy in this relationship. Another thing, a person says, I want to be rich. Well, you say, what does rich mean? What would rich look like? What would your outcome be if you were rich? How much would it take to accomplish that outcome? And then you start looking, you say, well, if I had a certain amount of money, I'd be able to do this, I'd be able to do this, I'd be able to do this. And sometimes you find that it's possible to achieve that outcome without accomplishing that kind of financial acquisition. Sometimes you find you cannot achieve the outcome you desire in life from the work that you're in. So be alert to outcomes. Clear, specific goals written down. Step number 2 is clear, written plans. As we talked about before, clear, written plans. And organize your plans, if you like, in a list of activities so that you know all the things that you have to do. These 2 alone, taking the time to plan, they say every minute spent in planning will save you 5 to 15 minutes in execution. And action without planning is the cause of almost every failure. Action without planning is the cause of almost every failure. So clear written plans and clear list of activities to work on, as we talked about in previous sessions. Step number 3 is make a list. All successful time managers work from lists. All unsuccessful people don't bother to write lists. Make a list for every day. Make a list for every week. Make a list for every month. Be a chronic list maker. When you have a series of things to do, the first thing you do is grab a piece of paper and write a list. Think on paper. All good time managers think on paper. They make a list of everything that has to be done. They don't try to carry it around in their minds. Consolidate all of your thinking. If you have to accomplish something, write down every single thing that you're going to have to do in order to accomplish it, and then begin working on your list. Call it a to-do list. By the way, the best time to make a daily list is the night before. Because if you make a list the night before, the subconscious goes to work on it while you're asleep. And in the morning, sometimes the subconscious has organized it, processed it, and gives it back to you and solves problems for you while you're asleep. Step number 4, once you've made a list, and this is the key to time management, is set priorities. You see, there's never enough time to do everything if you're living a busy life. But there's always enough time to do the important things if you can decide what they are. Setting priorities means using the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule says that 80% of the value of what you do comes from 20% of what you do. If you have a list of 10 things to do, that 2 of those things will be worth all the rest put together. Setting priorities means always looking at what is called the vital few versus the trivial many. The vital few versus the trivial many. The 1 or 2 things that you can do that make a real difference. Now, most people waste their time not because they're not working hard or not because they're not busy, it's because they're working on the trivial many, and no matter how many of them they do, it doesn't make any difference. The truly successful people do a few things, they do the right things, they do things one at a time, and they stay with them until they're complete. So set priorities. A very simple time management system is what is called the ABCDE system. The ABCDE is very simple. A stands for top priority tasks. Number 1 must be done. B is secondary priority tasks, things that should be done. C are not particularly important tasks which could be done if you have enough time after you've done your A's and B's. And D is delegate, and E is eliminate. Then what you do is you take and you list all of your A goals from your list, and then you write A1, which is the most important of all. And then you write A2, which is the second A goal, and so on. And then you begin to work, and you work on your A1. And you never work on an A2 or a B of any order until your A1 is complete. Very simple. Now here's the key question for time management. This can be worth a fortune to you. It's been worth a fortune to me. Ask yourself over and over again. Repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until it rings in the back of your brain. What is the most valuable use of my time right now? What is the most valuable use of my time right now? What is the most valuable use of my time right now? Every time before you start any new task, ask yourself this question, and then discipline yourself to do only what is the most valuable use of your time. Remember, Benjamin Franklin had a beautiful line. He said, "Do you value life, then waste not time, for it is the stuff of which life is made." If you are not working on the most valuable use of your time, just exchange the word time for life and say, what is the most valuable use of my life right now? And remember, if you are working on a second order priority, you are, relatively speaking, wasting your time and wasting your life. Number 5 is concentration of power. Again, a beautiful word from Charles Hobbes. Concentration of power means that you do first things first and second things not at all. Do first things first and stay with them until they're complete. Surprisingly enough, in the studies of every effective man or woman whose lifestyle has been examined, we find they're always doing first things first. They do things one at a time, and they stay with them until they are 100% complete. They don't do a lot of things, but they do the most important things. They do them right, and they carry them through to completion. You know, one of the most valuable attributes of executive life is the ability to carry a task through to completion. So once it's been assigned to you, the person who's assigned it to you never has to think about it again. Concentration and single-handling. Single-handling means once you've picked it up, don't put it down. Most of our time wastage comes from picking up things and putting them down, and starting them over and putting them down, and starting them over and putting them down. So concentrate single-mindedly, 100%, stay with it until it's finished. As in my estimation, the ability to concentrate is one of the most important abilities of success, because no success is possible unless you can concentrate single-mindedly on your most important task. Number 6. Number 6 is overcome procrastination. Overcome procrastination. It's not the thief of time, it's the thief of life. And the way that you overcome procrastination is by using affirmations. And the most powerful affirmation of all is do it now. Do it now. W. Clement Stone built $1 billion fortune by rehearsing and then getting everybody in his company to say 50 times every morning, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. Drive that, impress that into your mind. When I first learned this simple technique, I used to find myself procrastinating just like we all do. But the more I repeated this, do it now, 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 the more you repeat it, the more you find that eventually it works automatically. And it has a tendency to drive you to start a task when your natural tendency is to put it off or procrastinate. The most important quality that you can develop with regard to this is what is called a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency means that you get on with it and you do the job fast. We said earlier that time is your most precious resource. Time is the scarcest and most precious resource of accomplishment in our civilization. And that people who have a sense of urgency are always the most valued people in our society. Develop what is called fast tempo. Fast tempo is essential to success. Fast tempo is essential to success. What that means is that the harder and the faster you work, the more energy you have. The harder and the faster you work, the more drive you have, the more you get accomplished. The more you get accomplished, by the way, the more tasks you conclude, the more energy and self-esteem you have, because every time you finish a task, you get a jolt of positive energy. Every time you procrastinate on a task, it tires you out and makes you depressed. So whenever you find yourself procrastinating, say to yourself, I have to develop a sense of urgency. I have to develop a sense of urgency. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. And then work fast. Work fast. Work quick. You will find that if you will just pick up your tempo, you can get to a tempo that will enable you to go through more in 2 hours than the average person goes through in an entire day. In a study done by a business journal amongst 104 chief executive officers in major American corporations not long ago, they found a very interesting thing. They asked them what qualities would put a person most rapidly onto the fast track in their corporations. They said the two most qualities, 84% of them agreed, the two most important qualities, number 1, the ability to set priorities. Number 2 is a sense of urgency to get on with it and get the job done. And number 7, the 7th key to success is balance. Keep your life in balance. Make sure that you take time every day to spend with the people who are close to you. Make sure that you take time every day to think through your values. What is it that you really care about? Why are you doing what you're doing? What is it that you believe in that is relevant? And who are the people that you love? Who are the people that you care about and who care about you? Keep your life in balance. Don't let it get all work. Don't let it get all play. Don't let it get all anything. Keep your life in balance. Spend time with the people that you care about. Work hard when you work. Play hard when you play. Manage your time well. Control the sequence of events. And you can become anything that you want to become.